I'm Ned Reynolds. This is the Ozarks baseball preview for 2020, but this is the Ozarks baseball preview for 2019 because our Coach of the Year is the Coach of the Year for 2019, and you're about to meet him right now. I think cover looks pretty doggone good. We did a good job on that one. The gentleman who is the Coach of the Year for the second time in the history of our magazine is Jason Duey, only this time he's with a different school. Jason represents the Seymour Tigers. Previous to that, he was in Norwood when he was our Coach of the Year back in 2012. Thank you very much and congratulations, Jason.
Thank you very much.
I want to take you back. We're going to do this in a bit of a circular fashion now. The game in which you went for a district championship, I think you remember it probably pretty well.
Yes, sir.
Now, Seymour had never, ever, ever in history won a district championship. So you're up and playing for the district championship, and all you're playing is the New York Yankees of Class II, Mansfield, former state champ, but perennial contender. What did you tell the Tigers before that, and what kind of strategy did you have going into that game?
Yeah, we were actually there the year before against the same team, us and Mansfield in the district championship, and that game the year before, I felt like they had the advantage because they'd been there. Like you said, they have a history of winning, and so I think that played a big role in that game the year before. And so prior to the game, it's said, hey, all the pressure's on them again. Let's just go out here, and it's our home field, but let's go out here and have fun and see what happens. But let's make sure that we leave the field knowing that we played as good as we could. And if that's good enough, great. And if it's not, we'll take that. But let's make sure that we leave today knowing that we played our best.
And it was 4-2 in favor of Seymour and a victory. How did the kids react afterwards?
Oh, it was, to say the least, they were excited. And I think the whole town just kind of exploded with emotion that finally, got over that hump. And to do it against a rival like Mansfield, then that just made it even more special. So they were excited.
So you're going on now further into the competition, and you have your sectionals and so forth and so on. I think it was Liberal who you beat in one.
We beat Purdy in the sectional game, and then Liberal in the quarterfinal game.
So you get down to the state semifinals, and you're up at O'Fallon, Missouri, and your team in the semifinals is Silex, which is just up the road. So they have, I'm sure, a huge following there and so forth and so on. How about then? What did you tell the kids?
Again, we, going into the year, we said, hey, all we want to do is win a district championship, and then whatever happens after that, we're just going to take it as extra and just enjoy it. And so that really was the whole idea, is that we were just going to enjoy being up there. And obviously, we wanted to win a state championship, so it wasn't like we were just, up there for vacation, but we wanted to enjoy the time that we were up there together. And then it got extended a little bit because of weather, and so that gave us another night to hang out and think about what we were going to try to do while we were up there. But yeah, just enjoy the moment of being up there. And that was kind of our motto last year, is love the moment. And so we just kind of reminded them, hey, love everything about this, regardless of the end result. Just love the fact that we're here. But let's go win some ball games.
So what's really interesting about this, when you play for a state championship this year, just come right up Highway 60 and you'll be right there.
I've been lucky enough to play whenever I was here in Springfield at Metter. The first time we went with Norwood, and that was great because I think the entire town of Norwood and half of Wright County they were able to make the trip to Springfield. And we had a great crowd from Seymour that traveled to St. Louis, but obviously when you have to travel about an hour or 30 minutes, it's a lot easier for some people to do than 3 or 4 hours. So, yeah, it would be really nice to see what kind of crowd would be there if we, were able to make it to Ozark.
But even up that far off I-44, you did take a pretty good Seymour contingent up there.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I think the town was in need of some good news and something to rally behind, and those boys definitely provided that for them.
When you take a look back at that team, was there a catalyst, maybe as an individual or maybe as a team, that really set the tone for the year?
I can't point to one individual person. It was definitely a team effort, and then we had a big personality. Carson Sturdivant was he was a junior, but he was the big personality of the team. The 4 seniors I had, they were quiet leaders, and so Carson took on the role of kind of the guy that all the other towns like to hate, but the seniors were okay with that he was kind of out there in the forefront because they were kind of leading from behind. And so it wasn't just one person that dominated it. It was a team effort all the way through the season.
Of course, losing a championship game is a disappointment. It has to be. That's, after all, that is the nature of athletics. You know that. But you lost at 9-0 to a very, very good Ellington team, number one in the state. Did that, and I don't mean this to be facetious, but did it soften the blow, the fact that it was a rout?
And I would say a little bit. In the 3 times that I've been up there with teams, twice I felt like we just got beat by the better team. And one time I felt like we kind of gave it away. And so to leave the field knowing, hey, you know what, 9 times out of 10, this team probably beats us. And I've told that to a number of people when they've asked, is it still stinging? Well, it's always going to sting a little bit that we didn't win that final game. But to realize that team last year that we faced in the finals, they were just really good, and we got into some trouble early, and they had the bases loaded and nobody out, and we came away and it was 1-0. And I thought, hey, maybe luck's on our side today. Maybe that's gonna show that the rest of the day might just be in our favor. And obviously it wasn't, but leaving the field knowing, just tip their hat. And I told their coach that you guys are the better team. As badly as we wanted to win this thing, I've got to recognize that you guys were better than us.
Was Ellington gracious in their victory?
Oh, very, very much so. And it's kind of funny because about a month afterwards, maybe not even that long, me and their coach and I did a radio interview. I've got a cousin down around the Thayer area that has a show, and so he had both of us on. And I saw their coach at the Coaches Association banquet last month, and we talked a little bit. So there's no animosity at all. And I told him again, I said, again, you guys are just better than us, so just enjoy it and take it for what it's worth.
But you wouldn't turn down playing them again, would you?
Definitely. I'd like another shot. Yeah, like 9 times out of 10, I think they beat us, but that one time, I would take another shot for sure.
Jason, let's talk a little bit about your career. As we mentioned earlier in the opening, you were our Coach of the Year when you were at Norwood. Now, obviously, you're not there. You moved, is it 3 or 4 years ago?
This is my 5th year at Seymour, but this will be my 4th year as the head coach at Seymour.
When you moved over there, you were an assistant coach for 1 year?
Yes, sir.
When you left Norwood, now obviously you have teaching duties too. What are they?
I'm currently the high school principal at Seymour. When I came to Seymour, I was a middle school history teacher for 3 years, and this is my 2nd year as the high school principal.
Now, is it difficult for you to intermix the duties of being a principal and a coach?
That's another credit to those boys last year, that they had to deal with a coach that was trying to figure out how to be a principal as well. And so there were a lot of days where they did not get my best effort, not because I wasn't trying, but because I had so many things on my mind from my day job, if you will, that they had to go through a lot of those growing pains that I had to go through as a principal in my first year. And so, again, that's just tons of credit to them that they were able to kind of withstand some bad coaching at times to get to the state championship game.
That's very interesting for you to say. The team for whom you were an assistant coach when you first came there only won 7 games, and since then it's incrementally improved. So obviously you have seen from a coaching standpoint that these kids are improving as well.
Right, and they really bought in. My first year as the head coach was a little bit of a struggle because I think they looked at me almost, hey, are you going to be here? Are you just another guy that's here for a year or two? Are you gonna stick around? And so, the first year, I would say they weren't fully bought in, and I think the boys would say that too. But once we got back for a second year, and then of course the third year, they were all in, and there was no question about their level of commitment or desire. They bought in the entire way.
When you took over for Sam Berg, and he's an old pro at coaching, did you differ in your philosophy?
A little bit. Coach Berg and I, we carpooled most days, and so we got to talk a lot of baseball. Going to school and coming home, and there were some things that were similar, but then with every coach, you're going to have your own style, and so there were some things I did a little bit differently, and maybe some of them worked out better, and maybe some of them didn't. But yeah, those boys that were the seniors had Coach Berg throughout some their freshman year, and they were it just some things were different and some things were the same.
When you took a look at that Seymour team as an assistant coach, were you able to determine that these kids had played together quite a bit as youngsters, or was there an influx of new talent there?
There were quite a few kids that had played together growing up. Definitely that's kudos to the parents for doing that took them and coached them, and then there were some new kids that came along. But I'd had some buddies that had coached against them in junior high and said, hey, that Seymour bunch isn't too bad. And I honestly, I didn't make the move because of a coaching reason. It had a lot of life circumstances that happened that, got me to come to Seymour. But yeah, just seeing the potential there was kind of, okay, the future's not looking too bad. So
well, and obviously it wasn't, because
right.
This team, could you envision them getting as good as they were the team last year?
In our district, the winner of our district for many years has had a really good chance of going to the Final Four, and has proven that. I think in the 14 years that I've been a head coach, that 8 or 9 of those years the team went on to the Final Four that won the district that we were in. So again, my goal was always just to let's win the district championship. That's our number one goal, and then beyond that, it's just extra. But yeah, you see Mansfield that we had played close in the district championship the year before. They made a trip to the Final Four, and so you can just you don't want to plan it. At least I don't want to plan something like that. But in the back of your mind, it's always there that, hey, if you can just get through districts, there's a good shot at it.
And you had to know that Doug Jones was looking down on that game too, and he was implementing his own strategy somewhere along the line.
Right. I was lucky enough to student teach at Mansfield and coach with Coach Jones in 2005 whenever they made a trip to the Final Four, and so I know that he was rooting for Mansfield, but I also know that he was happy for me as well.
And
so.
Jason, he would have been, because he's a great guy,
Right.
Tremendous individual. You were elevated to the role of principal at Seymour. Did it enter your mind that, oh my goodness sake, I can't handle both these jobs, that maybe I ought to give up coaching?
It daily, but I haven't given it up yet. It's something that I'm passionate about, and I think I still have something to offer on the baseball field. And quite honestly, it has helped me, in my principal role to try to coach my team. It just may be a different team with teachers and other students, but I'm still, in a sense, a coach, as I do my job as a principal.
I can see where you would have to implement a lot of the philosophical approaches to bringing teachers together as a team and students as a team. Do you find that to be the case, obviously?
For sure. I'm not going to pretend like every player has loved playing for me, but they have known that I have loved coaching them. And the relationship part of being a coach, being a teacher, being a principal is huge. And so, again, I'm not going to pretend like every teacher that's under me feels like I'm the best principal ever, but building relationships and trying to improve our school is just so important. And so trying to lean on, hey, we've done this on the baseball side, let's try to do it inside the building as well.
You might tell the folks a little bit about how you got involved in coaching baseball.
Really, I went to college, and I went to college because everybody said you had to go to college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and teaching wasn't really on my radar to start. But my mom taught for 31 years. My dad was a business owner, and then he taught for a number of years. And so then teaching was just kind of, it was there. And that sounds horrible that I would just say, well, it's just there, I'll do it. But I was trying to get away and try to make my own way through life, and then I realized, I saw some really good things from my parents and saw the impact that they were able to have on some students. Why not give teaching a try? And I love sports, and obviously I love baseball, and I'd worked with some youth before getting into teaching. I thought, well, that's another way to be around the sport, be around some kids that I might have a positive impact on. And so that's what led me to coaching, and here I am 15 years later still doing it.
Had you played the game yourself?
Played growing up, wasn't good enough coming out of high school to really do anything after that, but I think my coach back in high school, and he texted me the day that we played for the state championship game, and hadn't talked to him in forever, and he said, you're one of the smartest players I ever had. I'm not surprised that you're having the success that you're having. And that meant a lot, that that he would have recognized that back then. Again, what I lacked in physical ability, maybe I made up with some knowledge of the game.
Was that at Mountain Grove?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you went up to, what position, first of all, did you play?
I played every position on the infield, and my senior year he came to me and said, we need you to pitch, and we did that. So I was all over the place.
Now, when you went up to Missouri State, you knew about their baseball program, of course.
For sure.
And I'm sure you saw many of the games. You would have been up there when the Bears played, probably down in Ozark.
Yes, sir.
And then were you there their first year at Hammons Field?
Yes, and I was there when they made the trip to Omaha.
Oh, that's
so
right, sure.
It was an exciting time in the college, for sure.
Did you ever feel like, I'm cheating myself, I should be a part of this, I should go out for this team?
Well, not really. I knew my limitations, and they would have laughed me off the field, I'm sure. But it was fun to watch, and I regret maybe not going out, trying to be a manager or something like that. Now that I'm older and think, I missed a lot of years where I could have been learning stuff that I could have put towards my coaching career. So that may be a regret that I have, but I knew I wasn't good enough to even sniff the team for them. So
have you patterned your coaching style after anyone in particular?
I won't say one individual has, done. Basically, I try to take it from a lot of different things that I've learned from everybody that I come in contact with, and most of that is positive things. There are a few negative things that I would file away and say, I'm never going to do that as a coach. But most of the time, it's some good things from high school to college to student teaching. There were so many people that played a role, and some of them had nothing to do with baseball, but trying to just put that towards working with teenage boys, which you never know what you're going to get. It's a different thing every day, and so just trying to put all those different pieces of the puzzle together that I hopefully have taken from people throughout my life has helped.
This would be a difficult question for you to answer now because you are so young, but is Seymour home? Is this your final stopping place, or can you foresee yourself going elsewhere?
I want to be one of those guys that enjoys where they're at. I don't want to constantly be looking, what else is out there. When I got to Norwood, I thought 1 year and I'm going to, get closer to Springfield and get in a big school. And I fell in love with Norwood and fell in love with small schools. So I thought, okay, I'll be at Norwood for a long time. And I was there for a decade. And then just certain things happened that, kind of forced me to look elsewhere. And landed on Seymour and landed in a good spot. And when I went to Seymour, I didn't think past a year. I just said, okay, I need to kind of hit the reset button and see where this takes me. And I'm in my 5th year at Seymour, and right now it's home, and it may continue to be home until the day I retire. I look at different opportunities, but not with the thought of every year I want to see what else is out there. It's just I want to keep my eyes open, but I have fallen in love with Seymour.
Oh, you'll have to look for another county that begins with W because you've had Wright and Webster now.
Some of the Summit Conference coaches, they tease me that, are you trying to coach every Summit Conference team? That's definitely not the plan.
We'll take, do I assume correctly, we'll take a picture a little bit later on of the presentation. This is it right here. Well, this is your Ozarks baseball preview plaque. You already have one from your days at Norwood, but this is one for Seymour. Congratulations for a 2nd place in the state, but hey, one of these days it's going to be a championship one as well.
I'll take it. My life is complete without it, but it sure would be nice to have one.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Jason Duey, he is the Coach of the Year for 2019 for the Ozarks Baseball Preview.